This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Mailbag. It is Thursday, actually, late at night. Thursday, the 19th of September, 2024. I hope everybody's having a great day, or morning by the time you guys listen to this. We're going to get into your emails, but I'd encourage you, for those that are not patrons, to become a patron because you won't have to wait too long to get your email in. And we also have voicemails, but we always prioritize those emails from patrons above all else. So that's just one of the perks you get if you become a patron over at patreon.com/WWE podcast. You get everything ad free too. So, all right, let's jump into those patron emails. And we're going to start actually with Dino from Scotland. He says, "What's up, WWE podcast? Did anyone else see the Wyatt 6 symbol on SmackDown behind Nick Aldis when they interviewed him after the first ad break? I wonder what this means." First of all, I didn't see that. As I've said a million times, you guys are way more observant than I am. I don't know what it means. It could mean that they are on their way there. Could mean nothing. But at some point, you'd imagine that they're going to feud with the Bloodline. And the Bloodline that is the evil Bloodline, right? Solo's Bloodline. Because the Wyatt Six are not turning heel. So if that ever was to happen, yeah, but also, the Solo's Bloodline is about to feud with Roman and his OG Bloodline, so that's not going to happen for quite some time. Maybe sometime next year after that whole saga has concluded. All right, Cody versus Solo in the steel cage was a banger. I think we'll be waiting a while for that match to be outdone. It was pretty good, but I mean, what else could we expect from these two? They have worked very well together. And Solo has been elevated to main event level status, where you look at him and you just feel main eventer. It takes a while to do, but I think he's there. Do I think it's match of the year? No. But it was certainly, I think, maybe match of the week. I love the new SmackDown look, but it disappointed with no blue ring ropes. I hope for Bad Blood they bring back the blood drop set. How cool would that be? Yeah, that'd be pretty damn cool. I was hoping that I'll actually even spell Bad Blood with 2 Ds and bring it really back old school. All right. I think it's a real possibility we see The Rock's return at Bad Blood. It's the perfect time to set things in motion ahead of Survivor Series. I think Bad Blood is the first PLE since The Rock left after WrestleMania that we could point to and say, all right, there's a case to be made for his return here. I think it's still too early, but it's at least, it's within the realm of possibility for the first time since he left and in mid-April for his movie and whatever else he's doing. So, sure, they could, but in what capacity? What's he going to do? What's he doing? He could interfere in the tag team match, assumingly help Roman, maybe accidentally screw him over. Where does The Rock's loyalties lie? We all learn that eventually he's working with Solo, of course. Sure, we could do that. But I think more likely it's probably at or after Survivor Series. That's my call right now, leading into WrestleMania season next year. But Bad Blood is certainly possible. I'm not shooting it down. I just think it's a little too early. I think, or is it just me, or has anyone else been looking forward to and enjoyed Survivor Series more than SummerSlam over the past 2 years? I feel like Survivor Series has been way better, and I don't think it'll be any different this year. I can't wait for Survivor Series. That does say something about the War Games format under the Triple H regime. It does say something about how he has managed that event and really, I think, revived it. And it's kind of crazy that you're saying that given that we don't even know what the card is. For sure, even though 4 months ago we knew what the main event of the show is going to be, presumably. Although I will feel like a complete moron if at the end of the day it's not Roman's Bloodline versus Solo's in the War Games match. But We'll see. The crowd in Portland, Oregon, on Raw this past week seemed to be a good crowd, better than the average American crowd. Yeah, I know the bar is low compared to overseas. Bronson and Reed and Braun Strowman deserves to be on a PLE. I feel like that their work so far has been PLE worthy. Everything about these two is just great, honestly. And lastly, I hope that Drew and Punk will be very extreme and dangerous, almost like their lives are on the line. I hope it's very reminiscent of Taker and Mankind, where they were fighting on top. One of them gets thrown to the top, or through the top, or off the top onto the announce table, and slammed onto a pile of thumbtacks. I'm really hoping for a gruesome match, absolute classic, that'll be remembered for years to come. A proper Hell in a Cell match, if you will. And let's be honest, y'all love it as wrestling fans are sick. Yeah, we're nuts. Despite what people may say that, it's about athleticism, there's nothing like sheer brutality. We thirst for it. We just do. But let me quickly touch on Reed and Stroman. I think they have overachieved. They caught something that I didn't think most people probably thought they could. It just, where does it end? I mean, to me, this is a short-term program. This is not long-term, even though it is fun. Because all they're doing is just destroying everything in sight, which is fun, absolutely. And I am really enjoying it, and it's great, particularly for Bronson Reed. And it puts him on the map in the biggest rivalry he's had. Yeah, he destroyed Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins will come back and get his revenge. But to me, even more enjoyably is the Braun Strowman pairing, and it's going to be short-term, but again, it's short-lived. This is not a sustainable program the way it's going. And I'm happy for Strowman and Reed, more specifically. As far as Punk and Drew playing out the Hell in a Cell of yesteryear with thumbtacks and being tossed off the top and through the top, not going to happen. And the reason is not because your assumption or your desire is misguided. It's rather that it's a different era. I mean, the last time we saw somebody fall off a cage, off the Hell in a Cell, I believe was WrestleMania 32 with Undertaker and Shane McMahon. And at that point, there was a insanely obvious crash pad for Shane to drop onto on the announce table. It's very clear. It's like a 2-inch thick, heavy foam, impact absorbent pad. And that's fine. I mean, safety is paramount. So unless there's some kind of extremely prepared spot, I don't think you're going to see something like that. Or even the thumbtacks, I highly doubt, but we'll see how far they take it. And this is really going to be, I think, not just fun from a brutality perspective and from a storyline perspective to see this thing end, but I think it's going to really tell the fans where they're going to go with the brutality end of wrestling. It's going to give us a little bit of a hint as to how far they're going to go and what direction the company's headed with this kind of stuff that has been really buried since the PG era began. But you're not going to see thumbtacks. I doubt it. Safety. It's not going to happen. It's a different era now. Very unlikely anyone goes through the top. I could be totally proven wrong, but there's other ways to have great Hell in a Cell other than actually having their lives put at risk. I mean, those spots with Mick going off the top in 98 at King of the Ring you're literally putting your life on the line there, and in an unnecessarily high-risk way. Yes, they put their lives on the line every single match by default, but this is a infinitely higher risk of injury or death with something like that, and they're not going to do that. So, all right, Dino, let's get to another patron. Freeman says, I love a good stipulation match, and the Nia, Tiffy, Bayley, Naomi tag match feels like one of the best we've had in a while. I've been thinking about the potential outcomes, and I've got a theory about the ideal scenario for this match. First, the stipulation was worded interestingly. Whoever gets the pin earns the title shot, and this wasn't limited to the Bayley-Naomi team. So, what if Tiffy gets the pin? Does that mean she earns a title shot? I doubt WWE is planning this, but why not? Having the Money in the Bank briefcase shouldn't prevent her from earning a legit shot through a match like this. It would be a fun twist. And I can see a Nia versus Tiffany feud brewing, especially since they've been teasing a split for a while. And honestly, that match makes more sense for a PLE named Bad Blood than Nia versus Bayley or Naomi. And Tiffy is basically a babyface anyway. Yeah, they can pull the trigger anytime they want on that. But if I know I've got an ace in the hole, you don't play that card right away. You let it linger. You let the fans wonder. They could pull the trigger. I wouldn't do it yet. Tiffany's got a long time before that briefcase expires. What, next July? Let it run its course. I'm not saying wait till July, but I'm saying there's not a need. There's not a real good reason to have Tiffany Stratton drop that on Nia right now. And also, Nia just became champion. You're not going to have her lose right away. Nia Jax has really had a hell of a year. And you're not going to have her immediately drop it to Tiffany Stratton. That you want a little build for. You want a little anticipation. You want the fans to get to a point of kind of forgetting she's the Money in the Bank briefcase winner. So I don't think it's going to happen yet. But as far as, Tiffany getting the win, I mean, you could do it that way. And she still retains her Money in the Bank briefcase. As for whom I take the loss, if they don't go with the Tiffy win, I could see Tiffany losing and then moving to Raw to cash in her briefcase on Rhea after she wins. But I actually think Bayley is more likely to take the loss. Raw is in need of more credible challengers to the Women's Championship. And after the Liv-Rhea feud ends at Bad Blood, they'll need to step up. Both Naomi and Bayley could make good contenders, but Bayley's got so much more going on with Damage Control and the Wyatt Six teases that seem to be targeting her group. It feels like she has a lot more storyline waiting for her on Raw than Naomi does. So my prediction, Tiffy pins Bayley. I think that would open some really interesting directions for everyone involved. It would. That's probably the most likely scenario. I think Bayley needs a change of environment, change of scenery. But I also don't know what their plan is if Bayley is the one to move to Raw. I mean, what's her plan exactly? To feud with Liv Morgan? I don't know. I mean, Liv Morgan does need someone other than Rhea Ripley to face at some point, and I don't think Rhea is going to win that belt anytime soon. Liv is doing a very fine job with it. Rhea doesn't need it. And Bayley could be a nice addition to the babyface roster for the women. On the flip side, though, on SmackDown, Nia Jax does need someone to work with, but Bayley's been it feels like they've been feuding for a long time, even though it hasn't been that long. I have found this program a little bit underwhelming. I've actually found Bayley's character, and this is not the fault of her, but rather creative and their direction or commitment to the Bayley character, honestly, to be a little bit underwhelming and underappreciated. Not just for the last few weeks or months, but really the last year and a half. Maybe more than that. You could argue that even during her Damage Control run, for most of the Damage Control run, it was boring because Damage Control was a team that most people didn't have a whole lot of emotional investment into. They were waiting for the group to break up. They'd tease it and then they wouldn't do it. And people are just exhausted of how boring this group is. And it just was boring. And there wasn't a ton outside of their debut that they did that was memorable, right? They debuted at SummerSlam, attacked Bianca Belair. That was a big moment. Cool name for a group. And that was kind of it. So, all right. Well, let's go to our next email. And let's see here. Let's go to DJ Kuzma, another great patron. He says, quick question. In the not so distant future, when do you think a Cody Rhodes heel turn might occur? After the Survivor Series, this year's Survivor Series, after next year's Royal Rumble, or after WrestleMania 41? Because it seems to me that Cody was kind of teasing a heel turn when he said to Roman last week on SmackDown, it was in reference to when Roman said, "This is my show, my WWE," as the crowd booed Cody. I'm all for a slow burn Cody heel turn because this could be what Cody needs to change up his current goody two-shoes stale persona. He was a heel in the past with Randy and Ted DiBiase in the formation of Legacy. Even while Cody was in the Indies, wrestling in Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, just to name a few, Cody was part of the Bullet Club heel faction. Anyway, to make a long story short, it's just a matter of time as to when Cody will turn. He will. Look, Cody Rhodes is a heel. I've said it many times. I've never advocated ever, as much as I criticize his babyface character, for him to be fired ever. He's a big asset to the company, clearly, and he's proven that. When do I think he's turning heel, though? Probably not for a while. I'd say past WrestleMania 41. Because there's still some gas in the tank for this babyface run. It's not nearly what it was. I think he's burning through that gas pretty quick. Because his run, I'm trying to be objective here, has not been very exciting as champion thus far. He's been Mr. Suit, Mr. Promo, occasionally feuding with the Bloodline, and that's it. They have done and had seemingly very little in store for Cody after WrestleMania. Now, also, the reasons you have to keep Cody babyface for the time being, at least through WrestleMania 41 and beyond, maybe. The Rock's going to stay his heel character, his brilliant final boss character. There's no need to change back to anything other than the final boss. That's a heel character. Yes, he gets cheered, but it is a heel character. And they're going to get to The Rock and Cody Rhodes for the championship. You're not going to have Cody Rhodes as a heel in that. That could be your WrestleMania main event, too. You also just had him win. You also just went through a nearly 4-year reign with a heel champion. You're not going to have another heel champion for quite some time because that was the whole reason for the change, was we're ready for somebody that's actually going to be here to hold it, and we're tired of Roman as champion, and on we go, right? So there's some strong reasons to not turn Cody as a heel. Also, the fans are not booing him yet. You may have heard some slight boos when he said my WWE, or it was. That I don't think that was a heel statement. That's just true. It was his WWE. It was his show until he lost the belt. That's true. There's nothing wrong or inaccurate about that. It wasn't done as a way to start feuding with Roman again. So you have Cody Rhodes not running down the crowd, still doing his insanely manufactured entrance with his stupid smiles and his stupid dog and his mentioning the name of the city in every beginning of his promos and all that stuff that is just despicable to me. Yes, he's still doing that. And again, you want to get all the money and ratings that you can and story out of this babyface run before you switch him. So ultimately, what's my answer to when do I think they're going to switch him? You're looking at like maybe SummerSlam next year or WrestleMania 42, I think is more likely. Deep into 2025, early into 2026 is when you might see a Cody Rhodes heel turn. Or the only way it'll happen earlier is that the fans smarten up and see what I see. This phony politician champion. And no, I did not steal that from Drew. We were saying that long before Drew McIntyre said it on air a couple months ago. But we have a politician for a champion. And the sooner the fans see that, the sooner I think they're going to start being like, wait, why are we cheering for this dude that's just all smiles all the time again? So unless the fans will it to happen and they start to organically turn on him, I don't think they're going to have any discussions about it for another year. One last question, not to jump ahead again towards Survivor Series War Games, but do you think there will be a women's War Games match that includes Team Rhea versus Team Liv, or does the storyline of the New Judgment Day versus Terror Twins potential 5-team squad make a suitable War Games match? The only reason I ask is that in both 2022 and 2023, there have been a women's War Games match in which both years Damage Control lost against the opposing babyface team. This is DJ Kuzma signing off. Have a great weekend. See y'all in the Discord chat for Friday Night SmackDown. It's logical that Team Rhea and Team Liv happens, but can they keep the program going another 2 months? I don't know. That might be a little bit much to ask. But I do think there should be a women's War Games match. If they want to do Re-En Live, fine. I'm just concerned that I think fans will be burned out of that program in 2 months. 2 months from now, they're not going to care. But I could be wrong. Maybe they add a new twist that gives some life to this story. I just don't know. 2 months is a long time in pro wrestling world. So, thanks, DJ. We'll talk to you with the Joe Hendry report very soon. But let's dive into. I think I had some patrons message me directly in. Let's see here, right in the app. So let's go to Alex, the French guy. He said, "I hope you're doing fine. I want to continue the discussion. That is, who is going to beat Cody Rhodes for the championship? For me, there's only two names on it who can do it: Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre. WWE will not make a face lose to another face, so it should be heel Seth or Drew. Or, here comes my fantasy booking, Cody turns heel while being the champion. He goes Homelander mode, claims that he did it on his own, and comes from a royal wrestling family. Then, some months after, he loses against the real guy that beat Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I think there's a much higher chance that Seth turns heel before Cody does. There really is. There's also an even higher chance that Randy turns heel before anybody does, and Randy is the one that maybe could threaten the championship. I know that most people aren't looking at Randy Orton because they look at him as a fun legacy star that'll always come really close but never actually win. I wouldn't sleep on Randy Orton. I just wouldn't, because he re-upped with WWE for another 5 years. He just signed that deal. The guy looks and feels like he's 24 years old. He's in some mobile cryogenic chamber that we are all unable to see. He possesses some kind of anti-aging agent that we are all not privy to. It's incredible. Randy Orton is timeless. We're going to be asking for Randy Orton to deliver RKOs when he's in the nursing home, whenever he does make it there. I'm sure he'll still be able to perform one. That'll probably be his final maneuver, is RKOing somebody into his own grave. I mean, so with that, all that those weird analogies and drama of Randy Orton aside, I think that Randy Orton is a actual threat, and I wouldn't sleep on him. Do I think it's likely? No. But Randy Orton, once he turns on Cody Rhodes, I think is a real threat to Cody's belt. Now, back in reality, though, I think you're right. Seth or Drew those are two very believable opponents to win. But you have to remember, both are on the opposite brand. Now, WWE has told us time and again, in so many words, they don't give a damn about anybody on any other brand. They're going to do what they want and say there's a brand split, but bring people over and then not explain it. It's what they do and have done forever. I hate it, but they do it. So if they don't care about their brand split, then yeah, they can bring over Seth or a Drew or do a trade or whatever. And I think it'll work just fine. So yeah, the fact they're on opposite brands won't preclude them, I'm sure. Okay. Thanks, Alex. Let's see here. We have... Did I get to all of them? I don't know. I feel like I didn't. By the way, I might have an interesting guest on the show in the coming weeks. It is not anyone that's been on the show before. And he's a country music star. Yeah, I said that. He's a country music star. Trying to iron out the details. I'll give you more about it when we get things all lined up. But yeah, it'd be very, very cool to have this individual on. Big fan of his music, and apparently he listens to the show, and more details to come on that. So hopefully we can get a day and time that we can both link up and have a fun discussion about wrestling and some other things. So I'll just leave it at that. So how's that for a teaser? All right, let's continue. We're gonna then, let's see here. Most of these emails are for the NXT position or the SmackDown position that we had, and I have to say they have been filled. Okay, they have been filled. However, those of you that did submit, I'll keep you on reserve. All right, I'll keep you on reserve. Or if there is a show that you guys want to, those of you who have submitted or haven't, that want to produce a show on a Wednesday evening, because our Wednesday lineup is pretty thin. It's about one of the only days that we don't publish a show. And you have an idea for a new kind of show, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. All right. Well, I think that concludes the emails. Let's get to those voicemails right now.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name. As I take it to my 10th episode of the Joe Hendry Report, as I take it to this past Friday, live from San Antonio, Texas, it's T-Day's pay-per-view called T-Day Victory Road, as we had the highly anticipated matchup of Joe Hendry versus Josh Alexander. After weeks and weeks of the build-up to this match, we're finally having this matchup that went 60 minutes and 52 seconds. It looked like Josh Alexander was going to get the victory after when we had a good old-fashioned referee bump, as Josh Alexander shoved the referee into Joe Hendry. And then, of course, he tries to go for the low blow on Joe Hendry, but this time Joe Hendry was wearing a cup. That's right, folks. Joe Hendry was wearing a cup as Josh Alexander hit the failed attempt to hit the low blow on Joe Hendry. Now we fast forward to the conclusion of the match as Joe Hendry gets the victory with the standing ovation choke slam. And then, of course, he hits a submission move. Joe Hendry hits a submission move, the ankle lock on Josh Alexander as Josh Alexander taps out. Joe Hendry finally gets the victory, and that ends his 3-match losing streak. Now, we fast forward to this past Sunday, live from Woodbury, Minnesota, as Joe Hendry was part of a tag team matchup, the Midwest All-Star Wrestling promotion, as he was part of the Say His Name and He Appears event down in Woodbury, Minnesota, as Joe Hendry and Joey Avalon are the new Midwest All-Star Tag Team Champions, as they defeated the Gentlemen's Club of Lennox Leon and none other than Aaron Arsenal. Now Joe Hendry is back to his winning ways. What's next for Joe Hendry, as it seems like NXT might be back on the horizon, or let's even fast forward to what may happen at the Royal Rumble. But whatever the case may be, always remember to believe in Joe Hendry. Always remember to say his name. And remember the words that Joe Hendry says, anytime, any place, and any show. And with that being said, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, get me excited for his main roster debut. I say this every week, and I'm really appreciative of you continuing to cover him. For those of us that aren't familiar with NXT as much as we'd like to be, Joe Hendry is one of the biggest stars NXT has. And I can remember not too long ago, I remember coming on the show and saying, hey, who the hell's this guy? You know, I remember saying that. I'm not going to pretend I didn't say it. I had no idea who he was. Didn't know. I'm sure I'm not the only one in that boat. I'm sure a lot of you out there also were kind of in the same sphere, if you will. But I think that he has caught fire, that music. You know, I don't think as fans we really understood the impact music can have on a wrestler. Just ask Cody Rhodes. Just ask Sami Zayn. Just ask not Drew McIntyre, but Seth Rollins. Now ask Joe Hendry. Just how much music can help you get over. It's not the sole factor, but it can be a very big factor. And Joe Hendry, who went on the Chris Van Vliet podcast, really fun interview. Go check it out. There's your plug, Chris. He did say that the idea behind his music that was developed was to get fans to act in a certain way with their hands, to have the music stuck in your head. It was by design. This song is not an accident. And it has worked brilliantly. Brilliantly. I'm literally going throughout my workday. I'm sitting at my desk and, doing my stuff. And I'll just sit there and I'm just like humming to myself, the Joe Hendry song. And it's a catchy song. It does stick in your head, and that's the idea. And Joe Hendry, of course, it can't be all music that gets you over, but he has done his part thus far. I've seen some of his work. He's a younger guy. The future is very bright for Joe Hendry. So keep a lookout. I'll continue to say it. I think his debut, at least maybe a small one, a quick one, will be at the Rumble this year. And the crowd's going to lose their minds. They just lose it. The crowd's going to lose their minds. So, alrighty. Thank you so much, DJ. We do have other voicemails. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. We do have other voicemails. I know that sometimes we don't have any others, which is embarrassing, but we do have a couple here. Actually, this is from somebody we haven't heard from in a while. I believe this is Brad from Florida, so let's see what Brad's got to say this week.
Hey, Matt, it's Brad in Florida. Just a couple things. Number one, I hate Roman's new entrance music. It's just a bad version of the other one. And honestly, it doesn't have like a drop point. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like almost like a hit point. Where like the actual theme is kicking in. Like it kind of just seems like just a long intro to me. I really just do not like it, and I think his old theme song was 1,000 times better. Not really very important, but just wanted to bring that up. I also really, honestly, I don't know, man, like Randy Orton coming out to tag with Kevin Owens, like, ooh, what a mystery, what a surprise. Like, there's no one else it was going to be. So, like, why is that a surprise? Now, it was kind of funny with them bringing the guy with the hair on his back out first and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I just want to see it be someone else for one time who's the surprise mystery partner, not Randy Orton every single time. Like, I don't know, give me Brock Lesnar coming out. Give me a surprise. Give me freaking, I don't know, Austin Theory wanting to help Kevin Owens for some weird reason, and he wants to be his partner, and there's this tension. I don't know, give me anything. I don't know, man. I just, by the way, what's up with the bags under CM Punk's eyes? I have never seen anyone look so sickly. He looks so bad, with those big red bags under his eyes. He looks like he hasn't slept in 3 weeks, honestly. I don't know what's up with that, but he does not look healthy, this man. I don't know, man. To me, Raw this week was a little anticlimactic. I don't know. I did like the Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman thing. I don't know, man. It's just, I think they really do need to go to 2 hours. I'm happy they're going to 2 hours. I think it's a great thing. They just cram in so much garbage, and it is a lot of commitment and investment to watch 3 hours of Raw. And by the way, Io Sky, I know this is going to be controversial, but, she beat Bianca Belair. Honestly, man, I don't know one thing about this woman. I don't know one thing about her after 2 years in this company other than she's a good wrestler. And to me, that just doesn't work for me. I don't know anything about her. I don't know, how she's, what her mission is. I know nothing. So I know I'm up on the 3 minutes, man, but I have more other stupid things to say, but hope all's great. Matt, it's Brad again in Florida. I know I only get one voicemail. If you don't want to put this on, fine, but hopefully you can give me a mulligan. The other thing I wanted to say is I DVR SmackDown. I started watching it a little bit late, like 8:30 my time or whatever it was. Do you know that they overran and the DVR, obviously stops at 10 o'clock? So I did not see the end of Cody. Now, I did see it on YouTube, but what a joke. For their inaugural episode, to waste so much time on like Randy's entrance, which I think was 5 minutes or 6 minutes of him standing in the ring and just posing and the song just playing. They wasted so much time throughout that episode that Cody standing at the aisle was the last thing that I saw. Not any part of Solo coming out, nothing, until I had to find it on YouTube. Whatever, man. What a joke for an inaugural episode. And the other thing I wanted to say, man, is that Triple H does not reward people that are charismatic and funny and bring something to the table more than just quote-unquote good wrestling. Look at who he pushes, whether it's Pete Dunne, Io Sky, Zoe Stark. I actually don't hate, but Zoe Stark and this and that. Like, the people that he pushes are people that literally don't say a word and they're just good wrestlers. I want to see people like Chelsea Green pushed, who has an incredible personality, like an Ariana Grace type in NXT, who's got an incredible personality, so funny. I just don't understand the fascination with like the indie wrestlers and like the pipsqueaks that he brings in. No offense, but like, I don't know, like Pete Dunne. Why do I have an investment in him? I don't know one thing about him. He just stands there looking angry and snarling. I don't know, man. That's just the last part of my message. But yeah, it was a joke that SmackDown overran by 6 or 7 minutes, and if you're DVRing it, you're just screwed. So, later.
All righty, Brad, it's your lucky night. All right, it's been a while, so I granted you 2 voicemails. So it's good to hear you, and I hope all is well down in Florida and the hurricanes stay away. All right, well, a few points. I'm not going to address every single point. The ones I wrote down here, I will address those a few. I want to respond to Roman Reigns' music. Now, I have been an advocate of saying that I think it's good, very good. I've enjoyed it, and maybe I've been fooled by the intro, which is like you said, it is kind of a long intro that doesn't get to the actual music. It's just one long, dramatically sounding intro, and maybe I've just heard the intro, and the rest of it I don't even try to listen for. I just see Roman, and then we're all just paying attention to Roman, and then the music doesn't become such a big factor anymore because Roman's there. But I never actually listened to the whole song without Roman. Like, go on like YouTube and search for his new theme. You can find it and just listen to it. So that may help me decide if I really, really do enjoy it or I don't. I actually, like you though, I never thought there was anything wrong with his old music. I didn't think he needed a change. If you're going to have the same dramatic kind of slow entrance, even as a babyface, then why did we need to change the music? You're not going back to the big dog crap. His entrance music was iconic, and you're going to change it just to change it? I'm all for music changes. Sometimes it is warranted and needed when you go from especially babyface to heel, and you have the very fun sing-along song as a babyface, and you don't want that as a heel. That's fine. But yeah, it is, so that's what I'd say about it. I'm going to take a listen to it without Roman on camera. Randy Orton's surprise partner, yeah, it is getting a little bit monotonous. Oh, Randy Orton's teaming again with Kevin Owens and Cody to help, fend off the bloodline. Oh, it is. It's extremely predictable. What I will say is this, 2 things. One, Randy Orton is not here for very long. He did just sign a 5-year extension from what I understand. But seeing him after 20 years do what he's doing, you just have to appreciate it. I mean, you just, well, I shouldn't tell you have to, but you should. And that's not to say maybe you don't appreciate him, but also understand that at his age and his mileage on his body and how old he is, he shouldn't be this good. He arguably is better than he's ever been. It's incredible. But what I want more than anything from Randy is a shot in the arm, and that is a heel turn for Randy. His 1/1,000th, whatever it is, that is what's needed, or even a Kevin Owens heel turn. But these Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes, love makeout fest that they have on a weekly basis. It's kind of more than run its course. I'm waiting for someone to turn. It's not going to be Cody. Randy Orton has turned how many times in his career? He's a high likelihood. But Kevin Owens, I wouldn't sleep on either. Somebody needs to turn on somebody. That's what needs to happen in that group. All right. The bags under CM Punk's eyes. Yeah, you mentioned things that I think about for a moment and then I just shove in my memory and I never remember to bring them up on the show. So I'm glad you pulled this from my memory bank. The bags under his eyes they do look like sickly. If you didn't know that he didn't do drugs, like you would think he did. I mean, that he was up all night drinking, and he got home or rather got to the hotel at 5 a.m., caught a red-eye flight, then didn't have any time to rest. He's still hungover, and he's been doing this for 3 weeks. That's how he looks. And also, I mean, to be honest with you, obviously he doesn't do that. He doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and that's cool. That's his deal. But I think it's just age, man. It's just age. He's not young. And that kind of thing gets worse as you get older. I think we're watching CM Punk age in front of our eyes. Most of his beard is gray now. He still works very well in the ring. And we'll see how physical he gets at Hell in a Cell. I'm actually, if you're a CM Punk fan, I'd be worried about his actual health inside the cell. I think there's a real chance that you could look at this and come out of it and Punk's injured. Drew, I'm sure, is aware of this and that Punk does have a fragile body compared to the rest of the roster because of his age. I'd be a little bit concerned about Punk's health after this. I would not be surprised at all coming out of this if we hear Punk has a tweaked this, a torn that, a sprained this, or whatever. Besides the typical bumps and bruises, I think and I'm not trying to foreshadow this, I could just foresee it. I think we're all looking forward to Raw being 2 hours, but the rumor has it that Raw's going back to 3 hours after this 3-month stint. So back in January, they're going to go back to 3 hours, or SmackDown, rather, I think, is getting a third hour. Either way, the amount of wrestling content apparently is not changing. So we can't escape that third hour, one way or the other, apparently. I don't want a 3-hour anything. I don't want a 3-hour movie. There's very few things I want to do for 3 hours. Very few. It's a short list. Very short list. Like, I could be on a beach having some drinks for 3 hours. I could be out or I used to be able to be out at a bar for 3 hours with my friends. More than that. Hell, we closed down bars. We used to go to bars and literally the sun would be coming up. That's how you know. When the lights come on at the bar, that's always one. It's a big indicator. Or, especially in the summertime, you walk out of a bar or you walk out of a friend's house. It doesn't even have to be at a bar. You just come out of your house or wherever you're at a house party, and the sky's getting light. You're like, oh my God. I remember those days. Man. Those are long behind me. I don't think I've had that in about 10 years. I don't know how the hell I got on this topic. My God. All right. I guess I'm weeping for my former life at times. All right. Let's see. Triple H, your last point here about Triple H rewarding good wrestlers over good personality. There is some truth to that. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. You could say, well, those are the guys that Vince never seemed to push or give a main event to. Vince, you could put a gun to his head and say, Vince, you either give or put Butch, who was Butch when that was his name when Vince was there, you either give Butch a spot in the main event of Raw or we pull the trigger. And Vince would be like, damn it, pull the trigger. There is no chance that Vince McMahon would have put Butch or Pete Dunne, as he's now known, in the main event of Raw. And you could say that that's great because it gives guys a chance to be in the main event, get more eyeballs on them, give them some credibility, give them some experience in the main event that they otherwise wouldn't have under the previous regime with Kevin Dunn and Vince and the rest of his entourage. Which, by the way, the Netflix documentary coming out on September 25th, I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. I am too. I don't know if there's any interviews with Vince post the sex scandal, though. So I think it's all just before that. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see exactly what this documentary contains in about 6 days. Now, That's one way to look at it. The other way is, yeah, Triple H does seem to, like Chelsea Green, who is clearly not as good in the ring as a lot of other women are. She does have an infectious personality. She's a heel, but also fun to watch. You're rooting for her, but kind of like secretly. You'll never outwardly really cheer for her, but you do inwardly. It's a weird dichotomy with Chelsea, but she is a fun personality on camera. And I think right now you're seeing, though, Triple H prioritize better wrestling over maybe bigger characters. Obviously, you'd like to have both, but if you were to choose, I mean, you're seeing that play out on PLEs. How many times do you see a PLE under the Triple H regime that is just great wrestling, and you come out of it going, wow, not a lot of storyline progression, but man, that was a great wrestling show. A lot of great matches. That's, with exception, of course, not every match on every show under the Triple H regime. This is not a broad brush. But if I were to pick one overarching theme, that would be it. That would be it under the Triple H regime of how we would categorize his PLE production thus far. Great wrestling, not typically, but of course not always, storyline progression, especially those overseas shows that are overpriced, little storyline progression, but great wrestling matches. Now, one could argue that is also what you want to watch on a wrestling show is great wrestling. And again, how Vince viewed the business was much more showmanship, big personalities. The match quality isn't as important as the character development, or at least the promo time. I mean, Vince valued promos and skits much more than Triple H does, and there's really good and bad to both. I know we all demonize Vince, and everything Vince did or used to do was the worst, and it was a bad idea. It's a bunch of nonsense. We have all kind of we're all, I think at this point, we've been conditioned to think everything Vince has done, everything he's done has been evil, when in the moment, we have loved a lot of what Vince has done when he was doing it. Building new stars. He's given us insane amount of main events that we'll never forget. The biggest stars in the world. He's affected millions and millions of lives. Creating jobs for how many people, and side businesses like this one, where people can make a living off of what he did and his vision. Again, this is not me defending any of his extracurricular activities, just on a strictly professional level. Everything Vince did was not evil. Everything he did was not bad. Everything he did was not with malicious intent. He was sometimes misguided. He ran out of ideas. He was a little erratic. Yes. You heard that all the time. He's ripping up scripts an hour before the show. A lot of shows didn't make sense. There were big holes in storylines. Vince got really bad towards the end. Yes, I think a lot of it had to do with age. Even Vince can't escape age. Although he did defeat God at a tag team match, so maybe he is truly immortal. We'll see. I'm not sure what was at stake in that tag team match with Shawn Michaels and God versus Vince and Shane. I think that was at Backlash 2006, I think. So, all right, Brad, you're getting me on a weird tangent of talking about tag team matches with God. All right. My brain is a weird place. Let's go to one more. I think we have, hold on. I'm digging. We have, we have one more voicemail. So let's see who it is and we'll wrap up the show.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about this potential Survivor Series, prediction for in November. Everyone is assuming that's going to be the Bloodline versus Bloodline Survivor Series. What if that isn't the direction? What if it's something that's going to involve the Judgment Day again, and probably even Raquel and Rhea and Liv? Raquel is probably going to come back headed into Bad Blood, let's just say. I'm sure she's going to be the bodyguard of Liv because they have history. They were former tag team champions last year. They were friends. They're also friends, so that kind of never died. So I'm sure that's going to be the direction. So when Raquel comes back, but my point is that what if heading to Survivor Series is going to be something involved in the Judgment Day in some respect, and they'll do something with Roman Reigns and Solo that is involved being inside the working stack itself, and just have a regular match at Survivor Series, whatever that's going to be, depending on what's going to happen after that blood in that tag team match. So that's just that's just where I see it, because everyone is assuming it's going to be Bloodline versus Bloodline at Survivor Series. It's at War Games. What if it isn't? What if it involves Judgment Day? It's at War Games. It's some shape or form. And then they'll do something else with the Bloodline at Survivor Series, completely different. That isn't a War Games match itself. I don't know. It's just something to think about. It still could happen, but I'm not saying it's 100% going to be 1,000% Bloodline versus Bloodline at War Games, because that may not end up happening. It may be something completely different. But that's just it. Digital call. Bye.
Kyle, hope you're all doing well over there. And that's not a bad point. We're all assuming it's Bloodline. But if you're trying to make the biggest match that has the most emotional investment, you have a perfect match format for both of these teams. Again, Roman is still by himself, but that's going to change very soon with Paul Heyman and everybody else, which is going to be a lot of fun to watch, the reuniting. Like, what do you do? Like you said, you could do a regular match with Roman and Solo, and we'll eventually, I would imagine, get Roman versus Solo one-on-one, but that's not happening yet. Honestly, it may never happen on a PLE, because once you do the Survivor Series stuff, then you're into the December event, and then you're talking about Rumble. I mean, Roman may skip the December event and go right to Rumble, and at that point, the Solo Roman stuff's gone, and it's back to Rock. And I mean, who the hell knows? Roman versus Solo one-on-one may not happen at a PLE. It may not ever happen on a PLE. And again, so you could do Judgment Day stuff. I would argue that's secondary in terms of the pecking order of how big the storylines are, or rather attention or ratings minute by minute. You could probably draw actual numbers to say that Bloodline stuff is almost always a bigger draw, and they're trying to make money, and they're trying to give you the biggest show possible. I think a lot of fans, if you gave the Judgment Day that match, which I have no problem with, I wouldn't lose my mind, but it would be head scratching, because a lot of fans would probably go, whoa, wait a second. You have the Bloodline right there, the Solo's Bloodline. You have the OG Bloodline right there, and you didn't put them in Survivor Series? Like, why? You know, like, also, the Judgment Day stuff's been going on, it feels like forever. And I don't know if you can keep that going for 2 more months. With Roman constantly being absent, you can string this story along a little further, because we kind of understand what Roman's schedule is. We know he's going to be absent for like 4 weeks at a time. We know how his builds go for his matches. And you kind of understand that Roman's going to do 2 weeks of TV, 4 weeks off, whatever, which means that you can string out his stories multiple months. With the Judgment Day, most of the members are there every week. So you have to progress the story every week, which, you can't do for another 8 weeks until Survivor Series. I just don't think they can do it. Now, I mean, I guess they could do it, but boy, I don't. I think the fans would be like, what? I just do. I mean, the Bloodline story, the Judgment Day story has been fun, and you've had Liv overachieve and really find herself in this whole process, which I'm very happy for Liv for. But boy, 8 more weeks, I don't think they can do it. I just don't. There's too many shows, too many hours of television to write to get to that point. So we'll see, though. I mean, Kyle, I could be totally wrong. I always say that because I know I could be totally wrong, and I embarrass myself on a regular basis with my predictions. So if I get ahead of it, maybe it won't be as embarrassing. That's my thinking. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on the WWE Podcast Mailbag. If you want to go ad-free, I know a lot of you are, you can do that at patreon.com/WWE Podcast. We just had a new member as I was recording this. We just had a new member actually join, and I believe his name is Dan. Let me make sure I get that right here. I think it was Dan P. Dan joined us just as we were coming on the air and recording it. Or Dan D. Dan D. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy your free trial, and maybe you'll join us on the paid side of things. All right. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Tomorrow I'll be also dropping a new episode on my War on Truth podcast, which is, I know, not wrestling related. It is political and cultural, and I'll just leave it at that. So find us if you are interested in such things. That's not wrestling. Again, not wrestling. I can't stress that enough. Some of you may go there and be like, "Well, I don't want to hear about this crap." Well, that's because you're on a podcast that's not about wrestling. All right. I do actually have other things to say other than about wrestling. And it's called The War on Truth, if you care. And it's the logo with the American flag and the laptop. All right. That'll do it for me. Thank you so much, everybody. I will talk to you again on Sunday for the weekend review. Of course, a lot more coming until then. The SmackDown review and maybe another little retro show. So thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.